Rogue versus ByuN is a series we've casted a couple of times recently, actually. And this one, hopefully going to be some fun as well from the Into the ITAX Super Series number 29. It's a best of 5. And I'm Wardy, bringing you today's action. Blue Zerg top right is Rogue, bottom left the red Terran is ByuN. As we are live casting these replays here on Twitch. But of course, if you're watching on YouTube, then hello to you guys as well. Hope you enjoy ByuN versus Rogue. Always two plays that I love to see. I know I've gotten in trouble in the past for down-talking Rogue or downplaying Rogue. You know, a lot of people are like, Wardy, you can't do that. And I'm sorry, but sometimes Rogue doesn't show up in these events. And of course, I mean, I love watching ByuN, you guys know that through and through. So, hello everybody, welcome to the stream, welcome to the YouTube video if this is good enough to go on YouTube, which is ByuN Rogue, it probably will be. And if you enjoy, obviously, on YouTube, do hit like and subscribe. You know I gotta tell you guys to do that as we progress. And we're gonna start off with Reapers. Now, we actually saw ByuN lose with Reapers on this map against, I want to say, Rogue. Last time we casted Rogue versus ByuN. That or it was another of the Zergs like Solar or so. It just didn't do that much initially, and it really didn't transition well, and there was roaches out across the map and doing a great job, and life was just not looking pretty at all for the Terran players. So we'll see what ByuN can do this time. I mean, we have seen this work. We've seen it definitely work against Solar a couple of times, for example. I know that for sure. So much of this comes down to the early game. Like, this really depends on what happens early on. That's where this game's going to be decided, how these Reapers can do in the first few minutes, as we have our barracks setting up across this bottom side. So, multiple Reapers on the way out to get us started, and thank you so much for the donation. I'll read that after this first game, as our Reaper is going to start moving out up to the top of the map. So our first one comes obviously right now. Rogue doesn't know what's going on. It's a longer map as well, so it's hard to get the Overlords in position, especially if it's a Marine first. You don't want to risk that Overlord being killed off by the Marines, so not going to have it in position or anything right away. As we do have our Reaper coming through into the natural expansion and having a quick look to see just what's going on. So a couple Lings taking some damage here initially. The back and forth will begin. Obviously, as extra Reapers show up, this is where we kind of figure out what Rogue's going to do about this. He's on his way to Ling speed, so it looks as though it will just have to be a Ling-based defense here, which is fine. You can get away with a Ling-based defense. It's just not the most ideal way of playing this out. I feel like roaches are like the hard counter, right? Roaches are the setup where it's like, okay, cool. We've got roaches. This is not going to do very much, and I can counterattack. The Lings, a bit more flimsy, really sometimes allows these Reapers to get damage done as the Reapers back away. The Queen's still alive at the front. That's a big part of this, keeping these Queens alive, because obviously they are good damage output if you can keep them up and running. But you've got to keep them up and running, and that is oftentimes the issue. Is we are going to see only just a couple Lings going down. The Reaper's still alive too. And obviously behind this a command center. Now what ByuN has been doing recently with this is been going into just more barracks, more Reaper production, and eventually a starport, and he hits like a Reaper medevac timing. These Reapers obviously in a lot of trouble right now, which is why I'm getting a little bit anxious for ByuN, as these Reapers are going to die. Wow, what a catch from Rogue. That's a hell of a catch. It's a really, really good start. The only good news here for ByuN, if there is any good news, is that he probably doesn't die because it's only Zerglings. If this was like all these Reapers lost and there was roaches, you just die across the map. But because it's only Zerglings, you can't break the wall down. So that at least is some good news. Like I say, that's like the only good news you really get there. So yeah. Okay, well, ByuN, the attack basically ends right there. It doesn't really matter what the follow-up is now, right? As these Lings around the left-hand side, Reaper's still setting up. Factory is down from ByuN in the main base. As more Ling is going to go back up through the top. Of course, yeah, like I say, these Lings can't really do much. And that's another thing to actually point out as well, that this third base is up and running. The fact that you get that third base so easily means that you can obviously just continue as per normal. Sometimes the 3-reactor Reaper can slow down the third, and it's one of the ways you can play into a good position. So yeah, that's something to look at as well. There's a couple of evolution chambers going down in the natural. This Reaper will continue up through to the top side of the map. And we still just have Reapers in production, so ByuN did not change away from that. Third CC coming down. Looks like he will still go to the medevacs and try and do something with those. So looks like we'll get a little bit something extra out of this at least in an attempt to succeed. One melee upgrades coming in. Just going to see our extra drone still coming up as well. Just going to be seeing our medevac's going to be popping kind of soon. The Reaper's going to come back around to the front. And the Ling kept at bay at the moment, so Ling kept back. And we wait for the next step of this as the Bailon Nest comes down behind the third base. Yeah, I mean, we're really waiting for these medevacs to take these Reapers across the map and to see if ByuN can really do anything. It feels like no. Like, it feels like that should just be the answer. No, you cannot do this. Like, that shouldn't work. As do have the Reapers just going to be heading up through toward the top, so moving around to the top here. And here come our medevacs, and yeah, I mean, let's see. Nice scan. I mean, getting rid of a bit of crew spread is definitely not a bad way to start. Obviously, the medevacs, the whole idea is these medevacs can lift up all these Reapers and then just escape with them if the Lings get us around. So there is kind of value in having these medevacs. It isn't the most obvious of things, but it actually does allow you to kind of stay out here and stay aggressive. Melee upgrades coming through from Rogue. Of course, this is Jagannatha as well. I mean, this is an amazing map for Zerg if it goes on longer. So I don't think Rogue is all too bothered. In his eyes, he probably says, well, if I'm alive, I'm probably winning this game. Because this map really does favor me the longer it goes on. And I really don't disagree. ByuN is transitioning behind this, and it's what he needs to do, at least keeping up some pressure while making this transition happen. But yeah, it's still not the easiest of things. Just there's a few grenades going to go down. Ling's going to get bopped. Where is the lift up? There it is. A couple of Reapers went down this time. Hello? I don't know what these drones are doing out here, but even with losing these, you're still ahead by about 3. As the Reapers come through, they pick those off, and they're going to see that spine crawl firing away. The Lings start to run in, and the Reapers back away. You know, Ling's getting taken down. We're just going to be seeing at the same time a Widow Mine drop comes in. Gets a lot of workers killed because there's a Liberator going wild at the same time. Oh my goodness. Suddenly the multi-prong of ByuN is just out of this world. The Widow Mine drop, the Liberator moving into the main. He's following these Reapers, but that's what Rogue's been doing as well. And he still hasn't done damage to this Liberator. Oh my god. 16 kills as now he's picking off Banelings. Reapers move back down. Widowmine here was cleaned out. That's important because it felt as though it might not have been. Just going to be seeing the First Queen going down and just going to be seeing our Reapers. Just going to be going after that Extractor. The other side of the map, Ling's coming through. There's a couple Widow Mines here. I mean, that's the third base lifted, but there's no SCVs here, or very few. So the SCVs killed is pretty minimal. And there's not really a way to deal with these Lings just yet as the Reapers stay out. There was a drop of Marines, but really not that many. So, yeah, the Ling counterattack is doing well. Even the Reaper count is getting slowed down a little bit now. And as I'll see these Reapers dropping back just a little bit. I'm going to get a Queen. Marine's grabbing a Queen right there. The Ling's going to keep the medevac from ByuN up in the top left. And Reaper's back into the main, going to go after a few extra drones as well. All of our ByuN moving up as the little drop in the top left just continuing through this, and Ling's going to get up there to be a little bit more aggressive. Now the rest of these medevacs showing up as well. The mine's unloading. Marines coming through as well. I'm going to chase in after a few of these drones, so a bunch of workers being chased away. 9 workers down. Lings are running behind this. I mean, these Marines can lift off and maybe go elsewhere. Yeah, he's just going to stick around. I mean, there are the Mutalists to contend with. It's 2-2 Lings, though, and those upgrades are a pretty big deal. I mean, that's one thing that will probably save Rogue, if anything, after this harassment has been ridiculous. I mean, how many drones have died now? 40? That's going to be seen now. Medivacs down at the bottom or down to the center. Lings, Mutas coming through. I mean, these are weird fights because usually I think the Terran could stand and fight these, but with an upgrade deficit, you really can't. So we're going to be seeing the rest of this continue to push through, and this is where it really does get troubling for ByuN. These Lings with 2-2 are just so good. I mean, Rogue's finding value because he's not even having a fight with Banelings. You know, he doesn't even have to spend gas on this. It's just minerals that are achieving so much. Obviously, the Mutas as well. And actually, he's probably lost more Mutas than he really felt like he had. I feel like he hadn't lost that many Mutalists. As you see, 8 of them coming up, plus 1 fire attack coming in. Extra drones coming through. Now the Muta's going to come around the left-hand side. Mine's gonna get to the upper left as Muta's gonna come through, burrowing up. We also got this push on the right side showing up as well, though. So ByuN's gonna keep the action going as our Baneling doesn't quite connect. Marines continuing through. A few of these Mutalists getting picked away at. So a few meters going down. Widowmine trying to line up. A couple of Banes getting picked away at there. Lings, Mutas getting the cleanup as well. And these Medivacs will fall back home empty. More of this from ByuN gathering into the center. Well, he's going to take this command center out to the left-hand side. So bringing that out to the left. And you're going to get a 4th base up here. I mean, honestly, it's impressive that we got this far as, you know, it's impressive that we got this far already, I would say, as ByuN, because he should have been really dead after the Reapers did so little early. But obviously that harassment wave really did so much. It was kind of wild. Meters are going to move down the left. Just going to go and jump in on that planetary. Actually going to get that kill. That's a pretty huge kill. Not having a 4th base is obviously going to be problematic. As we follow the Mutas through, looking good. Extra Banes on the way out as we do see our Drilling Claws coming in. A few extra Widow Mines building as well. Lings coming in for a Vix around again. I mean, you just can't move out as ByuN. The counterattacks from Rogue are just non-stop. Again and again and again. At least the upgrades evened up, which is something. And yeah, I mean, this is actually kind of a decent defense, but on 3 bases, Mutas are ready to counterattack, Lings are ready to come back in, and of course, there's just base after base from Rogue. ByuN did a great job of slowing this down, of making this crazy, of making this a little bit different again, but at the end of it all, probably isn't quite going to be enough. I guess it's the way to say it is Rogue played a great early game. ByuN played a better mid game, but Rogue played a better last 2 or 3 minutes to this game especially. I mean, he really did start to deal with a lot of these attacks. The counters were something ByuN just couldn't get on top of. Now ByuN is continuing to lose a ton of SCVs. Widowmine's doing decent damage, but I just have no faith in this army. I mean, you can maybe lift up and get out, but microing back against this amount of Banes is unlikely to work out as well. So even if you have to lift and leave, then you're not really doing the damage you need. At least this Widowmine drop gets a bit of something done. It is 13 drones in total. If only that was enough to actually put you ahead instead of, well, you know, well, just put you ahead. I mean, it's 75 to 37 workers still. We still have a worker disparity. We still have a huge army disparity. And these Mutas are killing Marines as they spawn. I mean, the Muta count is going down, but it's basically this group of Marines on the map, and that is it. There's a few elsewhere, but really not all that, not that much. As we do have our few Marines around the left side, gonna stim in, and Mutalisk is gonna take a little bit of damage. So Mutalisk taking a few shots. Overseer goes down. Rogue will find himself supply blocked. Just trying to find things that maybe matter, but I think all that really matters is that the 1-0 scoreline should go to Rogue. I know I'm maybe being pessimistic or whatever, but this game has the writing on the wall. And now the writing is in the game. GG is called. And ByuN taps out of a... I mean, a game that I kind of thought was not his at all from early, but then the harassment he got done, that Liberator, the Widow Mines, it had me believing for a little while. Of course, Rogue, you know, as the game went on, it was always going to get better for him being on Jagannatha, and that absolutely did become the case. GG. All right, so we're going to be jumping into our next game. Let's see what ByuN can do going into a game number 2. As in the top left-hand side, we've got the red Terran player who will find himself down a game after the Reapers did not work out. It's ByuN, the top left of Death Aura. In the bottom right of the map, it's the blue Zerg player Rogue from Jin Air Green Wings. Get this one underway, started up, and intrigued to see what comes out of this now as we actually start off with a with an SCV scout down the left side of the map. I mean, SCV scout obviously is not the right word. The proxying SCV is moving down the left side, so an SCV moving across the second and the third one. ByuN is going to go straight up for some proxy racks. Very interesting. Kind of interesting to see ByuN kind of develop his TVZ lately. I feel like I didn't see ByuN's TVZ for ages when he came back, and then, wow, that's a 4th SCV, so he's going to go 4x. So ByuN's had a good mix of, like, strong macro games in this matchup, but he's also had his fair share of, oh my god, I need to do Reapers, oh my god, I need a proxy racks, and it's been really interesting to see him kind of go through those stages. As the 3rd Rax is down, a 4th Rax will be about to begin. And this is interesting. So what this is obviously 4Rax generally relies on your opponent, A, not moving forward and scouting with the Overlord that you're not set up. And you basically wait and you stack Marines for a while. You don't run forward with the first Marine and SCV and try and start bunkering. You have to be a lot more patient than that with 4Rax, because the whole plan is to just go with a surprise. And obviously this cannot be scouted. You know, you basically just... Sometimes you even pull the SCVs and you go with that. Of course, that could also be a pre-warning, and some defenses could come up. So basically, it's like the most all-in of the proxy racks. I mean, 3 racks is already pretty all-in. This has, like, 0 transition out of it, so... And it's very risky, because if the Zerg scouts what's going on, then he's also in trouble. The problem is here, you can see that this Overlord is just not going into a position to see the front at all, so he has no idea there's no command center. He has no idea there is no barracks at the front. Rogue is absolutely blind to the aggression. A lot of Marines on the way out. As our link speed from Rogue is coming through on the spawning pool. A few Lings just nibbling away at those rocks there. So continuing with that, as our Marines, our SCVs stacking up, looks like we're going to have a bit of a move out toward the 3rd base in a few moments' time. So getting ourselves ready to go for this, I would say. I mean, the thing is, Rogue just has no info, right? He's building a 3rd base, he's got 3 Lings, he's got a... Like, he's just got no info, right? The only thing right now he's saying is like, you haven't sent a Reaper my way. So if you've not sent a Reaper my way, maybe it's a Marine opener. Well, yes, but do you think it's this many Marines on the opener? Rogue is going to go into panic mode. You have to cancel out Hatchery, build Spines. Yeah, you got to cancel Hatchery, Rogue. Build as many Spines as you can. So the only way you're going to defend this is to get Spines up, surely. I don't really see another option. Overlord goes down, now your supply blocked. ByuN's not chasing up into the main as quickly as I thought he might. He's going to catch a couple more Lings on the low ground, though, so he is benefiting from this slow, patient approach. And now a lot of Spines on the way. You just can't let those go up as the Queen is going to go down. Link speed's done, but a surround doesn't matter that much against this stack of Marines. Still killing Overlords and trying to keep Rogue as close to a supply block as possible. His first Spine moves forward. He cancelled one of them. Now he's going to probably have to try and fight. Spine's still moving through. The drones are going to pull in. Link's still going down. Rogue's just going to type GG. I think it's too many Marines, right? Because you're starting to lose all of your drones. And if you lose all of your drones, it's not really possible to do anything else. Like, if we just go back into it for a quick moment. I know you can maybe argue, but he's about to have all these spine crawlers. But this is the point where he's GG's. He's got a spine about it. But, I mean, this is just 18, 19 Marines. And you don't have any money. And you have a few Lings. The spines are just not in a good position anyway, and even 2 spines I don't think is good. These drones are trapped in the main. You could maybe relocate 1 spine. It's going to die. Yeah, I think a few people might be like, well, maybe, but I think it's actually an accepted defeat. I mean, yeah, it's just too many Marines. You're also building 4 Marines at a time, so actually the reinforcements are also going to be very powerful when it comes to just overwhelming those spine crawlers, so I don't mind the GG when it comes down. That's going to be a 1-1 tied-up series between Rogue. We enter the Pillars of Gold, and we will start in the bottom left-hand side of the map with the red Terran player. Give it up if you're cheering on ByuN. As he goes up against the blue Zerg in the upper right side from Jin Air Green Wings, we've got Rogue. Well, an aggressive series out of ByuN so far, from 3 racks Reaper to 4 racks Proxy. It's been a couple minutes, hasn't it? It's been a couple games so far. It's been a little bit wild, if we're going to be honest. Excited to see what comes out of a game number 3 now, as we get this ready to go. Offload out through the top side here. Hatch gas and pool early, nothing to talk about there. Looking to be a pretty regular expansion on this side as well. So I don't think there's anything to worry about just yet. It's going to be a Marine opener, though. You know what? I kind of like it. So here's what's smart about the Marine opener, is that I'm pretty sure the Marine opener now, if this Overlord has gone to Proxy Scout, which it has, the Marine opener now could absolutely come forward and pick off an Overlord because it's just out of position, you know, because it's a little bit too, you know, it's not near a cliff. If this Overlord comes straight across the map, it's already here in a safer position by now. It's just 1 Marine, so it seems unlikely. In this case, it is just looking for a faster reactor, faster factory. Factory not next to the reactor, mind you, so there is some potential for that to get a little bit awkward. Because that means, I say awkward, but I mostly just mean that it's going to be no Hellion production, right? So without Hellion production, what the hell is the plan of ByuN? We've seen a few 2-on-1 builds arising lately, even like factory into second barracks, and this is not just going to be that either. It's going to be that starport. So yeah, just Marine, maybe Marine, tank, medevac, just aggressive push early in the game. Could work. It's something. Absolutely a possibility, as our Zergling speed is about halfway done. Queen setting up on the natural expansion as well, so that is on the way out. And just got this Marine patrolling on the edge of the base as well, as you have our Overlord of Rogue continuing down to the bottom. I mean, just super fast cloak banshees. I mean, if I had to predict something, I really don't even think I would have gone there. I was really thinking, if anything, it's like, you know, because to me, the super fast cloak banshees don't benefit off the early Marines, right? Such a weird setup. I mean, you could have probably built Hellions and built the racks, a tech lab with the racks. I guess not this far back, but it's just a weird setup in general. Like, it is not a... Like, this is not the standard go-to just yet, if we're going to be quite honest. So Overlord will go down, killed by Marines, so that's going to be a supply block right off the bat. For Rogue, still no information, just sees a lot of Marines, and he starts a single Evo, so what Rogue is reading this as is completely wrong. He's reading this as a 2-1-1 or a Marine-focused opener, so he goes for the Evo Chamber, but I don't think that suggests to him in the slightest that this is going to be a Cloak Banshee this quickly, and I don't blame him. You know, to me as well, I agree. Like, this is kind of a offbeat, out of nowhere kind of setup. As that Banshee is coming up to being about halfway done, Rax is going to move over to the tech lab, and a couple of extra Rax will now begin to build. Banshee through the top side as it makes its way into the back of this third base, and can absolutely get active here as we'll see a couple of drones already being picked away at. 2, 3 workers already going down, make that 4, so some very good damage already. Make that 5, 6, yeah. I mean, Rogue just was not prepared for this. Like I say, this is a 2-1. He's setting up as though it's like a 2-1-1, and I mean, again, like the carapace is just good against Marine openings anyway, don't get me wrong, but it's more than that. It's that he wasn't, because he thought it was something Marine focused, he didn't even think of the possibility of the starport tech. So that's the issue here. 9 drones early. Now we've got spores up at least, as we do have the next Banshee into the main for just a couple of moments. Taking a few shots. Nelly going down, not quite in the end. This other queen is going to take a few more shots as well. Banshee continuing to go wild on this one. As the Banshee is pushed away through the top side. So that one's going to escape out. Carapace upgrade is on the way through, about to finish up. So again, at least you have that for when these Marines do attack. Like I said, I mean, it's still useful. It's not like that was the complete waste. It's just it wasn't what you needed right away compared to those spore crawlers. Yeah, damage like this is always hard to recover from, as it's a, you know, this is absolutely damage where I look at it and I say, well, you're probably talking about this first push being extremely difficult to hold, so what corners do you cut to hold this first push? Well, I actually don't know what corners you can cut. 3 racks, 3rd CC was after the 3 racks as well, so this is like a very aggressive follow-up too. This is not a 3 CC, giving Rogue time to prepare. I guess then the good news is if you do crush this attack, that you can maybe take the economic lead. He's 20 workers up, so if you can shut this down. But if, and shutting it down are 2 big parts of that, and I don't think those are going to happen. I don't think there's any chance. First Banelings on the way, 14 of them. I mean, that's a lot of Banelings, don't get me wrong. But that's basically it, right? Like, they don't have speed. If these tanks are saved, then the tanks can target fire the Banes as well. We know what problem that will bring to the party. Banshee's going to cloak up. No Overseer here. Just going to keep on going for the Queens. Sporecrawler now moving forward, but in range of the tanks, is probably going to get shot down, and then you still don't have an Overseer. Okay, one's about to pop. So we do have an Overseer now as these few Banelings, I mean, they're the very important part of this. Baneling speed's on the way. Can we survive until getting Baneling speed? I actually don't even think so. I think surviving for Bane speed is, well, more or less an impossibility right now. Another siege tank takes a step forward. These Marines will stem in. Gonna pick away that spore, maybe giving the Banshees a bit more longevity. 2 of the Banes go down, make that 3. 3 pickings here for ByuN as he gets good amounts of damage dealt. Definitely putting himself into a winning position for the moment. This hatchery very nearly going down as well as he edges forward. The closer he gets to taking that down, the closer he gets to just winning this game. As here we go, the Banes are going to roll. I mean, with Bane speed done, this is what you've been waiting for as Rogue. What can the siege tanks do? They can actually tank a lot of the Banes. You get them cleaned out, but now there's no Banelings, so these Marines continue forward, so you've got to buy time for the next round of Banes to be done. And that's obviously a problem in itself, and that gives ByuN the time to get rid of the 3rd hatch. He's going to get creep teamed. He's going to get the Overlord going out down the left-hand side. We're going to have more of this army from ByuN continuing up through the center at the same time. Marines showing up, medevacs as well. Just push on forward here. Banes are going to start rolling through. Tank gets sieged and splitting back against these Banelings. It's good. For a moment, I thought the Banes were actually about to reach a good clump of Marines, but Nope, not happening as the Marines just stem forward here. Queens are going to keep on dropping, and this is going to be game. ByuN going to take the 2-1 lead. This was a strategic victory. This was a build order victory. It sold one idea. Well, it was actually something else. And that was very fun to see. I think you got a lot of people aren't necessarily the biggest fans of wins like that, I know, and you're like, oh, well, it's not that fun to watch and whatever, but I actually think this was a pretty, I think this is a pretty entertaining one. It was it was fun because it was really a very, cool way to start. Like I say, it's not normal to go like that. And, you know, to me, rushing the Banshees so quick, it backfires in so many ways, but he sold it in such a good way. Denying the scout was very important. He did that. A lot of good things came together to give ByuN this victory. GG. Game number 4. And in the bottom right, a few tricks, a few aggressive builds, and has, you know, really used that to his advantage here. It's ByuN in the bottom right corner. As in the upper left-hand side, we've got a blue Zerg player, Rogue, who is obviously in a, well, a bit of a tough position now. Must win the next couple. I really feel like it's almost just time to say, right, very safe scouting. I'm going to commit to Overlord speed. And with that combo, I should just be able to deal with everything that he's doing, because I shouldn't ever be caught off guard again by, I don't want to say the nonsense, but like, they are tricky builds, right? And, you know, the proxy racks definitely, it's playing out in a smart way, I guess is what I really want to say, because what you're actually doing here is ByuN is, because he proxy racks his game 2, he's got his opponent scared going into game 3, and that then, you know, scouting for the potential barracks proxy means he doesn't go across the map, so his actual build works really well. The Overlord scout is late, and that's why I think you maybe just go Overlord speed, because then at least you can be like, right, I check nearby for the proxies, and then I get OV speed to see what the follow-up is. I pay 100 gas to not fall to this, you know, to these weirder builds, to these aggressive openings of ByuN, which so far have been extremely successful. Alright, well, let's see what the plan will be. It is just Hatch Gas Pool. It is just a Marine Expanded game, so obviously similar to the last game at the moment in terms of the initial choice of ByuN. It's going to be a second Marine instead of a fast reactor, though. That's because it's gasless. Wow, sorry, I am a little bit dumb, aren't I? It's a 1 racks fast expand with no gas. You know, this is one of the... This should maybe tell you guys just how uncommon this is that I just assumed there was a gas, right? You know, when you just go into the first, you know, go into a game and there's some assumptions you can make. I just assumed there was a gas already down, you know, as part of this build. No, this is a 1 racks gasless expand. That is, I mean, this is like Wings of Liberty build. This has not been a thing for a long time. What this does is give you a few Marines early, a faster expansion, but obviously a very delayed factory in comparison, because you just have no gas early in the game. And typically people don't feel like it's worth delaying the factory, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what ByuN gets out of this here. Honestly, this is why it's so fun to watch ByuN, and maybe I harp on about him a bit too much, but it's really entertaining to watch a guy be just creative. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to kind of find new styles. He really keeps the game fresh compared to a lot of players, right? You know, he will just play the meta and so on. And, you know, yes, some players kind of get adventurous and they do things differently, but ByuN's builds typically become meta. And that's what's really powerful. I mean, you know, he showed up, you know, did engineering bay blocks in GSL. I know this was kind of a discussion before ByuN did it, but he did some engineering bay blocks in GSL, and then everyone was engineering bay blocking, right? ByuN is, you know, either at the lead of the meta or like right up there, just following straight behind whoever. You know, he knows what to latch onto. He knows what's powerful. And that's what makes him fun to watch, because I don't think this is a good build. If anyone else does it, I'm like, well, it's weird, it's funky. But if ByuN doing it, I kind of believe. It's a good fake out as well, right? These racks are kind of hidden back. The Hellions are on the way, so you're kind of like, yeah, look at me, I've got the factory up. Don't you worry about what's going on. But this is 2 base, 3 racks. It's a lot of units in production from ByuN. If Rogue doesn't read into that better, he can be in trouble. This Overlord here is not going to get to see what's up. So this Overlord's completely blind. Doesn't even get to see the tech lab on the barracks. So you don't see the extra racks. I mean, you're blind again as Rogue. This is why I would have loved to see 100 gas just spent on Overlord speed. Guarantee your scouts. The good news is he's not convinced that this is just a friendly kind of opener. So he's putting down a baneling there. So he is going to get some defenses ready. You've got to make sure you continue. The problem is right now is like the Hellbat timing. So if he doesn't see an attack now, he might be like, okay, you're not coming for me. And then if he goes greedy from here, this is what could kill him against a ByuN who's still 2 basing. If you start going up to like 55 plus workers, you're not going to have the units to defend an attack. So yeah, he's getting the baneling nest, but I feel like right now he's like, okay, well actually the Hellbat attack timings have kind of passed. There wasn't room in this base to be a 3cc necessarily, though. So he's like, what could it be? Yeah, it's going to be a Armory. So there is going to be some Hellbats still. I like that you're only showing 4 Hellions as well, right? It's also like, hey, you know, I've only built 4. Don't you worry about Hellbats. And yeah, the drones keep on building. The lair is on the way. And Rogue just doesn't have the information to make the correct call on what's going down. Like, he just can't say, hey, look, I am being all in. I need to be defensive. I need to build units. Nice clearing of the Hellions as well, because these Hellions now clear out and show, right, you don't even get to see my medevacs coming across the map. There are 9 drones, a lair, 2 evo chambers, and 2 gases in production. Units, never heard of them. Oh, sorry, 8 Zerglings on the way. Yeah, now Rogue's almost supply blocks. He has to build an Overlord in. Well, 67 drones. I said 55 plus. 67's obviously quite a lot above that, and here we go. The Banes will start to morph immediately, but if ByuN just goes, he's got Stim with this, remember. He can absolutely get on top of these Banes and cancel them, and that should just be the priority, right? Just target fire down these Banelings. There shouldn't be a reason for any of these to get finished. A couple of them are going to get finished up, but they don't have speed. So what does it matter as ByuN charges through and he just has too much? Rogue is caught being greedy. It's another fun, tricky build of ByuN. It's one of the reasons people will not like playing this guy. And he really does it well. Like, he comes out with a real variety of builds. He really plays the series, and I think that's important too. You know, you don't just play one game at a time. You build off what you did in previous games. He's like, well, you know, you were weak to this, and oh, you know, I kind of led you into believing this, and so if you're going to scout like that this time, I'll do this instead. And a lot of trickery for ByuN to be able to win this series out 3-1. A fun series nonetheless. I know the games were maybe... I would say these games are pretty one-sided, right? Like, there wasn't a lot of back and forth apart from maybe game 1, but I think a fun strategic series where it really comes out to... It really comes down to kind of just how you react, and maybe that Rogue should have maybe possibly built into Overlord speed. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're watching this one on YouTube, appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Thanks for watching the video.